State Esports. We're back for week 2 of League of Legends. I will be one of your casters, Chandler, also known as Grygard.
And I am Daphne, also known as Kusarigal, and we have a show for you today. Our League of Legends team is facing EMU this evening.
Yes, Eastern Michigan University. We will be facing them. Last week, we were able to go 2-0 with the University of Toledo. So we're going to go ahead and see. I guess we'll get to predictions later on, but I guess we should explain what is League of Legends.
Yes.
For those of you who are just joining us or haven't fully gotten the game grasped yet, but we'll go ahead and give you a bit of a rundown on it.
So League of Legends is a PvP MOBA, so it's going to be a top-down view with 5 characters versus 5 characters, and they have their own little zones that they need to protect, and these zones are also called a fountain, is connected by 3 lanes, a top lane, a mid lane, and a bottom lane. And in between each of those lanes is a jungle filled with a bunch of monsters and jungle creatures. And the top lane is going to be your big bruisers or tanks, characters such as Garen, Mordekaiser, or maybe some dive-in characters like Riven. And then you have your mid lane filled with your assassins like Akali, or mages like Lissandra, or sometimes Talia. Your bot lane is going to be full of marksmen, characters that need gold provided by minions that spawn in the lane. And that's going to be your if you watch Arcane, it's going to be your Caitlyn, it's going to be your Jinx, and generally this character, also known as an ADC, is accompanied by a support, which could either be an enchanter, an engage support, or some kind of tank. And within the jungle is a character that will be jumping in to help lanes or clearing monster camps, and that is going to be, if you watch Arcane, it's going to be your Violet, and it's going to be other characters like Warwick. And yeah, that pretty much sums up the game. The goal is there are turrets located within the lanes. The goal is to take giant minion waves and push them into the opponent's spot and take out a giant crystal in the middle, also known as the Nexus.
All right, and once that happens, the game's over. We're going to be seeing at least 2 matches tonight. So first to 2 points is the winner of tonight. So I guess last week we did get a bit of a sizable update for League of Legends. So there's a bit more to that this week, so if we'd like to transition over to a boot discussion.
All right, so in the game, there is a new update where you have feats of strength. In the game previously, there were regular boots that would obviously give characters movement speed, and there was an upgrade to those boots that would give minor adjustments to those boots, whether that be if it was an AP or ability power character, they would get like sorcerer steps, or if they were attack speed, they would go with berserkers, depending on what they needed. Now in the game, you have to complete 2 out of 3 tasks before the enemy to receive tier 2 boots, which are what we see here. We have for example, Gunmetal Greaves is going to be the berserker boots tie-in, and as I mentioned with the sorcerer's steps or something like that, is going to be now the spellslinger shoes. Now I do have a question for you, and this was brought up whenever talking about how these boots look. What boots would you wear in real life, and what boots would you be styling?
All right. Okay. I remember this question now.
Yes.
Okay. Now, out of all of these boots, taking a look at what I think is the most stylish, I think the last time I said the Armored Advance or the Chain-Laced Crushers, but the Gunmetal Greaves are looking pretty stylish now that they're all pitted up against each other. So I think I'd go with the Gunmetal Greaves.
Really? What's calling to you?
So I think everything else is just real aggressive, which is understandable. We are on Summoner's Rift, and if you want to survive, you're gonna have to really step up and be strong, mighty.
Step up.
Unintended pun. But yes, that is my choice. I think that is going to be the best looking shoes for the vibes I'm going at. Unless I go into Summoner's Rift, I might have to choose something else.
See, I gotta disagree. I would be rocking. I will be rocking the Swift March. I feel like that shoe, I don't know what it is with like the cowgirl aesthetic with like the feather. It just looks really cozy, and I find it so ironic how it's the running shoes essentially. It's just the shoes that give you a movement speed, but they have heels.
Okay. I mean, all right. That's certainly a good choice. I hadn't really been considering the stats when it comes to. If I'm wearing these in real life, then, I mean, I'd have to take a look at the stats to see. But if style-wise.
Style, yeah. I'm also going with Swift March. I don't know what it is. I feel like you can just style with it with the feather.
All right. Well, I mean, that's pretty large, and I mean, it is going from tier 2 to tier 3 is going to be pretty large, especially if we're able to see that this game. Now, to do that, we like Daphne mentioned, at least one team is going to have to get 2 of those feats of strength. Those feats of strength being first kill, first tower down, and first to 3 epic monster kills. So.
Actually, that got changed recently.
Did it now?
Yes. Instead, and it's only one of the 3 feats that you have to do. It's the first one. Instead of getting 1 kill, it's first to 3 kills.
Okay.
Which I kind of like that better, especially if there is like an engage or whenever there are some tactics in the game at the very beginning where you invade the opposing jungle and you could get a pick off or you could claim one of their jungle monsters, whether that be called a red buff or a blue buff. If they can get a kill off of that, well then they're halfway to scoring the fancy footwear.
All right. That does make a lot of sense because just one small mistake just takes away that large feat of strength for the other team.
Yes.
So gives a bit more of a chance, and the other 2 options are actual feats of strength besides just 1 kill. So that's exciting to see that can sort of change. But
yeah. As far as one of the major updates includes, we didn't get to see this last time, but the last stream we talked about a new jungle camp named Atakan.
Yeah.
He spawns depending on who is having the most kills, either top or bottom. And if they're on like a big kill streak, then there could be a chance of 2 different Atakans. Ruinous, or is it vicious?
Voracious?
Voracious. It's a fancy view.
Yeah. All right. So last week we didn't get to see it in play at all. However, the second match it did spawn.
Yes,
and
we spawned.
We did get the Ruinous one. So Riot Games at least deemed Ball State's match against Toledo as a high kill game. So. Yes,
it did.
But maybe if we have some longer matches against EMU today, we might see the Atakan in play
and actually kill it. And one of the most interesting things is it's not like a dragon or a baron that over time it will respawn. It is a one-time opportunity to get the Atakan and get the buffs that it provides. Now, what exactly buffs do they provide, depending on the 2 different Atakans?
All right, so let me pull out my notes here. Since it is 2 different ones, they provide completely different ones. But the Ruinous is going to give a 25% increase to epic monster rewards. So that's going to be a pretty big buff if they're able to sort of snowball those epic monsters going forward. But the Voracious is going to give additional gold upon champion kills, but a 150-second death mitigation. So instead of dying, then a champion just gets to, just respawn back at their fountain?
So if they it'll be like a little circle with 3 flowers around them. And if they score a kill, it won't actually read as a kill, but instead, over their player name, it's going to say redraw and go back to their spawn immediately. Kind of like there's a character named Akshan that if his passive is if their ally dies to a champion, if Akshan kills that champion, then they get respawn. It's the same mechanic.
So all about these champions. So those are all the characters that our players are going to be able to choose. We'd like to do a highlight on one of our players' personal favorites or mains. So let's go ahead and take a look at Ari.
Ari is a mid lane champion that is also titled the Nine-Tailed Fox, played by our Ball State player Wombat Baby. Now, this is going to be a mid lane mage, and her passive is Essence Theft. After killing 9 minions or monsters, Ari heals after taking down an enemy champion. And heals for looks like that got cut out, and heals for a certain amount of percentage, I believe. And then as far as abilities, one is a Q that is a giant ball that launches forward and then back, kind of like a boomerang, and deals massive damage. There is Foxfire, which is a W. It's an auto enhancement. It gives a brief movement speed, which movement speed for Ari is one of the bigger not builds, but that's how she plays. She plays with a high movement. And it ties well with her E being a charm. It's a giant heart that gets flung forward as a projectile, and the first thing it hits, the entity gets pulled forward. And then the last ability is Spirit Rush, where Ari has 3 dashes, and she can use it whenever she recasts her R key. And if she scores a kill, she gets additional recasts. So imagine a pentakill with consistent dashes. You get charmed in. That's where like the killing comes into play.
Wow, I was going to ask sort of which of these abilities should we really be watching out for, especially if Wombat Baby is able to pick this through the select and ban phase. But yeah, like you were saying, a Spirit Rush pentakill would be quite a sight, and I don't think I'd be able to cast over that. That'd be such a large, I don't know.
Wombat Baby, if you can hear this, you have to get the penta with the Spirit Rush now.
And if EMU can hear this, they're banning Ari first.
Please no. That'll be last time we had our stream. We had Fiora. We talked about Fiora, but we never got to see the Fiora gameplay by one of our players, Silk Flannel.
Yeah, and I mean, hopefully at least one of these we'll be able to see. They only have 5 bans, all right? They can only take down so many of the mains. But yeah, so I mean, we can sort of just take a look at this sort of matchup. And when it comes to EMU versus Ball State, so EMU, this is their first game of this season.
Oh, that's interesting.
So last week they did have a matchup against Buffalo, but Buffalo was a no-show. So EMU was able to take that win. So I guess this is going to be the true first look at EMU, and they did have their worst season last year.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so they were in 0-13 last year. Did not win a single game, and Ball State has never lost to EMU.
Gotcha.
Out of the 8 games that Ball State's played against EMU, Ball State has won every single one.
Interesting. But before we talk about the EMU, let's talk about our own team and see who is playing tonight.
All right.
So if we can see the roster here, this is just overall our team minus one of the players. That will be updated later on. But with us tonight is going to be Silk Flannel being top lane, Jungler, Remy, Wombat Baby, and we get to see there's the Ari picture and being the mid lane, and Chumslog will be ADC, and Quokka will be support. I am really excited to see if we get that Ari gameplay or make up for the Fiora gameplay that we missed out last week. And looking at this roster, this is going to be a very early game. We want to get in and win as quick as possible, especially with the Zeri Pyke combination. Once Pyke gets level 3 and gets all of his ability, he's a serious lane bully mixed with Zeri. So it's, at least I know I am a support player, for those who don't know, and I have faced off against this combo before, and it can be very lethal.
All right, and that early game and really just getting in there and stopping the match as soon as possible has precedent. The last time Ball State went up against EMU, the matches ended at 17 minutes and 10 seconds and 19 minutes and 30 seconds. So if we have a repeat of that, we won't even see the Otacon spawn.
Yeah. Which I really do want to see the Otacon. It's such a huge change to the game, and especially whenever it comes to junglers moving, like, okay, we have to all go the top side, or we have to go the bot side. I like how it gave junglers, because I feel like junglers need more love, especially with the more recent updates. And I'm glad Otacon got added to it, and I feel more involved with jungler gameplay.
Very nice.
So now that we went over Ball State's roster, let's go ahead and take a look at Eastern Michigan's roster. We don't know who is playing what. We're not given that information, but it looks like as far as roster, we have Carlios, Drywall Boxer, Meltdown, Sry. Sry is how we would pronounce that, I believe.
I could go with that.
All right, we got Riot, Waffle Pig, and Zero. I love Waffle. I love the combination of two things to one. But yeah, we don't know who is all playing tonight, but that is the loadout of their team.
All right. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and see. Now, out of that entire list, that is basically a new roster on EMU's end, except for Carlios. So I guess we'll see, based on Ball State's last match against them, that was the Carlios is the only same person of that roster. So I guess we'll see. With a whole new team, is there a whole new outcome?
Yeah, there could be some new talent that you may not be seeing with all those statistics, and I'm kind of excited to see, especially with it could be just a completely different team depending on the different years and what kind of experience they had. They could all be just new freshmen, hey, I'm this.
Oh yeah.
I'm this big threat that plays Fiora.
And speaking of new, so with that last update we were discussing, a new champion was added. And now as to the rules of the tournament we are in, a champion needs to be out for 5 days before it can be played. So therefore, Mel from Arcane is playable now. Now, I guess we'll go ahead and see. I've heard that Mel's kit is quite strong, so we might see a very early ban on that.
We don't have a graphic for it, but I've played Mel support, so I basically know what her abilities are. She's probably going to get banned. I'm going to guarantee that. Her passive is whenever she uses auto attacks or abilities on a character or even minions, there's overwhelm stacks that get placed upon them. And at a certain point, if these overwhelm stacks go over their overall max health, then the next stack that's applied is an execute.
Okay.
And as far as abilities go, one is a Q that launches a circle, and within that circle there's giant little projectiles that get launched at the enemy or whatever it's attacking. There is an interesting ability. W is a giant crystal reflect. So let's say, for those of you who watch Arcane, let's say there's a giant Jinx rocket that gets launched at her. She can use her reflect ability and bounce it right back as if it's her own projectile and launch it forward.
Yeah, and based off Arcane, that's a pretty important thing to sort of be able to reflect.
Yeah. Break from season 1 to season 2. You will be spoiled with Arcane. Just FYI. Whenever you go through this, you will probably get some spoilers.
So, I mean, at the very least, you're going to see who has plot armor.
All right. Now, as far as the rest of her kit, there is her E ability, which is a giant, sun that goes forward. On the outer side is, I believe the outer side is a root, and the middle is a stun. I'm not quite sure how that works, but stay out of the big sun. Don't look into the light.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that from what I've seen of Mel gameplay, it makes perfect sense that it would be an early ban, but I'd sure love to see it in game.
Yes, and for her ult is a giant area where it applies deals massive amount of damage and applies the overwhelm stack. So if they are already in that execute, and it will show, there is a thing over the player's name, and it's in their health bars in red, is if they can execute, so she can see whether or not it can execute. And all it takes is one click of the button.
Very nice. All right, and you mentioned you were playing Mel as support.
I played 2 games of her.
All right. Now, does Mel lend herself to being good in any of the other roles, or is she mainly a support player?
She's actually a mid lane. I don't really like to CS, which is CSing is whenever you kill either minions or jungle, and it's called a critter score. She's really good whenever it comes to mid lane helping. That's her main spot right now. She can be played support. Any character can be played at any spot, and she can be played support with her W ability and the ability to root people.
All right. Well, Yeah, I mean, we'll go ahead and see what sort of matchups we'll get in now. Whether EMU has done much research on Ball State, see if we see those early bans on the characters that our team is able to really crush it at. Now, we saw some pretty good like Lee Sin gameplay
Yes.
last match, so I guess Ball State's matches are pretty well preserved online, so I guess we'll see.
Yeah, so let's talk about what we think is going to happen for this upcoming. So we are going to have our little ideas.
All right, so with my prediction, I'm going to go ahead and start, and I think Ball State's going to pull out this win, and I'm hoping for a good match today. I think we might go to a game 3. I'm expecting a 2-1, so I'm expecting EMU to get at least one pick there, but I do think Ball State will pull through with it.
See, my prediction is 2-0. The reason why I think this is that with a new team, they also don't really have experience facing our team yet, so they don't know about Silk Flannels, Fiora, or Wombat Babies Ari, so they may not know who to ban. So I feel like that might give them game 1, and game 2 might be a little bit longer. We might get to see Otacon. I really want to see Otacon. This is very similar to my prediction last stream, but I think it's going to be a 2-0. With the second game being a little longer.
I don't think that's a hot take. I think it is I think it's a very high chance of happening.
Yeah.
I think our roster's just really great this year. So I'm expecting a great game, and it'll be a good game no matter what.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So, is there anything else that we should know about Ball State's team as we go into this?
I don't think there's anything I can think of.
All right. Well, so as we were saying, the game of League of Legends is going to start with a selection and ban phase. So we will be able to ban up to 5 on both sides. So a total of 10 champions is going to be banned, and there are 170 now.
You checked that recently? It's 170 now?
I made a Quizlet.
Oh, yeah. Is that including Mel?
Yes, I decided that all the Quizlets of champions, their names, portraits, and titles wasn't good enough, so I made my own Quizlet, and there are 170 champions.
Gotcha.
Mel making 170 as of the 23rd of last week.
For context, I'm the one that plays League. I am a support player. I play a lot of I'm the caster. I am the caster support player. I play a lot of Zyra and Nico, and
I've played a whole 0 hours within the last 3 years. So there was about 1 week over 3 years ago that I played a bit where I played Misfortune. However, since then I have not played, and with that one time I played, nothing stuck. So everything I've learned has been within the last week or so.
And don't underestimate it. It's a lot. It is within just Quizlets is able to get the title, the titles of the champions, which I don't even know yet.
We'll get into the titles.
I have a challenge for you. I want you, as we're going in, to name each of the titles of both the picked characters and the banned ones.
I will for sure have the titles down by the next stream that I do, but I don't know
Alright.
if I have all of them down.
Would you like to attempt it?
I'm sure going to attempt. I'm sure going to try.
Yeah.
All right, so that'll be fun, and I'd love to have a... You know what? Let me explain titles for a bit. There's 170 champions, and each of them have a title. Most of them have no bearing on really anything except for lore that you'll probably never know. But they're fun, and every single one of them have them. And some of them are just silly. Some of them are awesome. Varus, which we saw really great gameplay from one of our new players, Ali, playing last week. So Varus is the Arrow of Retribution. So that's just a pretty great title. When I saw it, I was like, if I could have any of these titles, it'd be that one. But speaking of, when it comes to titles, Daphne, if you could choose what your title would be,
Ooh.
what would your title be?
I don't know. This is...
Now, as you think about that, I can sort of give what I think mine might be.
Okay.
And sort of because of the let's say, reputation I'm getting based off of the Quizlet and the fact that I've learned so much in such little time, I think my title would be just the Quick Study.
The quick study. I thought it was going to be like a pun with the Quizlet. With the Quizlet. Like some kind of Quizlet pun. I feel like that would have been...
I'm not much of a pun guy. That's
Not?
more you.
Oh.
I think you've told puns and noticed more puns than I do.
Yeah.
So if your title had anything to do with puns, I think that would make more sense.
Yeah, unfortunately I can't think of one on the spot. I'm not the on-spot comedian. However, after some thinking, I would think about cozy gamer or something with that. I'm not the best when it comes on the spot titles.
All right. All
but
right.
something to do with cozy gaming, because I am one of those that loves to play a lot of Stardew or Sims, and every now and again Mantis from Marvel Rivals.
All right. Well, yeah. And if you think about it during the broadcast, we can talk about it before we end. But that's sort of where we're at. I am the Quick Study.
The Quick Study.
Grygard the Quick Study.
And I am Kusarigal, the can't think of name on the spot, Punister.
Yeah. Now, I mean, that is sort of like on the... Some of them are done.
Long.
But one of my favorite characters, just based off of the small backstory I've had and the name and the title. So, how much lore, and do you know the title of Zack?
Zack, I don't know much of the lore. I know that he is from Zon, correct? That is basically all I know about Zack.
So Zack was, from what I remember, was made from a chemical spill.
Oh.
And his title is the Secret Weapon. And he's just this green guy named Zack. Zack spelled Z-A-C.
Now the question is, who named this guy?
I guess we're going to have to do a bigger deep dive on the lore, and I guess that might be, I mean, we do these character highlights, but maybe I've got to start jumping into the lore.
Who looked at this blob and was like, oh yes, you're
this
Zack.
Zack the Secret Weapon.
You are the secret weapon. Oh.
All right.
Now, before we get into this match, we're going to cut into a quick commercial break. So,
see you then.
See you then.
You know you're a Ball State Cardinal when you first hear the chirp. When you look to Frog Baby for luck and Beneficence for guidance. You're a Ball State Cardinal when you chase your dreams, present your case, and win. When the university you call home is small enough to be a community, but big enough to change the world. You know you're a Ball State Cardinal when you're one of us. We are Ball State University. We fly.
And welcome back from that 30-second commercial break. All right. I mean, we can do a little bit of a review on last game.
Yeah.
So last game was our first match of the season against the University of Toledo, and what a game it was. It was 0-2, like you mentioned, Ball State winning, and the first round was done in 18 minutes and 28 seconds, done before the Otacon was able to spawn.
Yes, and one of the bot combos I thought was very interesting, and I didn't know she could be played as a support until that game. And whenever doing some research, she's very situational when it comes to a support. But there's a character named Elise that is half spider, half human, and she was able to be played support. But the main highlight of that game was Varus taking the first game. This is not whenever she was Elise. She was Renata Glass at the time, and went 17-0-5, I believe.
Yep, it was right here.
It was a great game to watch. Great trades between the Renata and Varus, and we got to see. And I questioned it in the early on, but after digging, there is a new meta where if the ADC, which is attack damage carry in the bot lane, if they are super ahead, they actually need to go top lane to take advantage of benefits up there as well, while the top laner goes trades the bot lane.
All right.
I did not know that was. I'm not quite sure why yet, but if we see the ADC going doing really well and being ahead, possibly with a bounty, we can see them in the top lane, possibly helping with some of the Void Grubs, Rift Herald, or though honestly, I feel like if ADC is doing really well, I don't see why Otacon doesn't spawn at the bottom. The whole Otacon spawns are really hard to predict depending on how well the game is going, at least to me.
Yeah, so it is... Where it spawns is based off of damage, deaths, and kills. So I guess if it was spawning top, and you do figure out if it's spawning top or bottom at the 14-minute mark. So about 6 minutes before it spawns, we might be able to take a look at where it's going to spawn, but sort of going into that didn't matter for Ball State. Like we said, ended at 18 minutes and 28 seconds. The next one lasted a bit longer, but it did end at 21 minutes and 34 seconds, where we actually saw the Otacon spawn on the top, I believe.
Yes, it was top side.
And like we mentioned, it was the Ruinous form, so a bit of a high kill game on Ball State's part, and that kill...
I thought the Vivacious one was the high kill one, because that provides the withdrawal.
From what I've seen, the higher kill game is the Ruinous. Now, I personally look at the Voracious Otacon and think those rewards are a lot more worth it, but it seems that Ruinous is the higher tier one with the 25% epic monster kills rewards from those kills.
Though it does drop flowers. That's the one that drops the flowers, right?
Yes.
There is, along with the new update, the whole theme of League of Legends this season is based off of Noxus. And if you watched Arcane, it took place in Piltover and Zon, and the characters Ambessa and Mel came from another nation known as Noxus. It's a lot more battle. Think of the Pantheon of Rome, like huge fights were happening all the time. 3 tyrants ruled, yada yada yada. Oh,
all right, and here we go with
the
draft of the pick or the select and ban screen. So I guess we'll go ahead and see first on Ball State's side.
It looks like we did get a ban on LeBlanc. The other side, Ashe. These are different bans than I expected last time. We have a Galio ban, and we have waiting on one more ban. Looks like it's going to be a Skarner ban. So we have a mid lane / jungler and a mid laner for Ball State bans, and an ADC and jungle ban for the EMU. And we're going to have a Corki ban on our side and a Victor ban to finish off the bans. This is going a lot faster than I thought.
Yeah, and we're getting those first picks. We've got, looks like Ambessa, like we were mentioning. And I will get into the titles when everything is picked. But looks like we've got Ambessa on Ball State's side, Maokai and Nocturne on EMU, and Vi and Ari. We did get Ari in this game.
We do get Ari. We finally have representation. Oh, and Aurora mid lane. Aurora was originally released as a top laner, now integrated in mid lane, and that's going to be an interesting game to see. And now we're going into the bans for EMU. Looks like it's the first ban.
Now,
this is going to be an ADC and support ban, possibly.
Silk Flannel was able to really well hold up in the top lane with Ambessa, so maybe we might not even see the Fiora pick, even if it's not banned. But looks like we do get a Jhin ban on EMU's side. So we'll go ahead and finish off these bans, and we'll see those picks, and then we'll head in the game.
Yes. Taking some time with this one. ADC bans I'm not sure how much of an... Oh no, it's going to be a support ban. Looks like from last game we had the Renata gameplay. We're not going to see that this time. And 2 ADC bans from EMU. Interesting. And 2 support bans from us. Now we're going to go into the draft for our bot lane.
We've got a hover on Varus. Are we going to see Varus on the other foot?
Definitely taking a huge difference from last stream. And we did get the Varus select. Are we gonna Ezreal? That's another character that's well into the early game. And we see the Pike from the graphic earlier.
Pike.
Yep, this is going to be the main from Quokka, being Pike, and being countered by a tank, Tom Kench.
All right, so
What do you think of this roster?
now I know some of their titles.
All right, let me hear it.
Okay, so starting off with Ambessa, she is going to be the matriarch of war. We've got Vi right there. That's going to be the enforcer of Piltover. Ari, a little cheating because of the highlight we had, the nine-tailed fox. Ezreal, the prodigal explorer. Pike is like he's the Bloodwater something, or that could be someone else. But it's an aggressive title.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm going to lose it with Maokai and Nocturne. Aurora is the Witch Between Two Worlds. Varus is the Arrow of Retribution. I don't know Tom Kench. Don't know Rel, Renata, Corky. Galio is the Colossus. LeBlanc is the Deceiver. Ashe is going to be the Frost Archer. Don't know. I don't think I remember any of the other ones, but that's a good amount. I'm gonna.
Yes, you get that one. Nice job. And now looking at the summoner spells are able to be chosen along with runes that can help the characters. And look at the spells. It's no surprise junglers took Smite. They pretty much have to. I'm interested how. It seems like teleport, the ability to teleport to either minions, jungle monsters, wards, or no, I don't think it's jungle monsters, minions, wards, and towers. That's a very popular across the board. Usually, especially when it comes to the bot lane, either one of them needs to take a barrier or a heal. Teleport is a popular spell, it seems.
Teleport was changed in this last update, so while it does take a little longer, it does have an animation. That's for the most part its only change, so I guess that's just the summoner spell that seems like it would lend itself to be the most useful for this next game. So
Right.
I guess the meta might be shaking up a little bit, but that teleport does get cut down if it gets upgraded later on, but I guess we'll go ahead and see.
Also, the multitude of teleports, maybe a lot of roaming might be happening throughout, especially with Ambessa being a high mobility character. I'm excited to see this action-packed. Ezreal too. Ezreal has dashes on one of his abilities. This is going to be interesting.
Oh yeah. Now, I guess we'll see. Is it drawn out, or are we gonna be out of here within 20 minutes?
Especially looking at the lineup, it definitely seems like Ball State, Vi being heavy and Pike having a hook to draw people in to Ezreal possibly getting a kill. Ball State wants to get this game done as quick as possible, it seems.
As they always do.
No Octocon. They do not like the Octocon. As talking about the interview from, I believe it was Chumpslog last?
Yes, it was with Chumpslog.
Yes, it was Chumpslog. They weren't even able to, they didn't have time to get done with the jungle camps because they kept snowballing. With League of Legends, there's a huge amount of both micro and macro game decisions that they need to make. And they didn't have time to go get the objectives because they had the snowball between the different towers. So
they're just suffering from success. They're not able to get to the objectives because they've got something more important, and that's winning the game.
And a lot of those decisions are very important, especially with one of the monsters. If later the game happens, there's a monster known as Baron Nashor. Baron Nashor not only boosts the champions, but mainly boosts the minions, making them stronger, making them hit harder. And there's some decisions where if you take out the entire team, the decision is, do we have enough siege to take out their whole fountain? Or do we need to fall back and take out Baron Nashor? Huge decisions like that will show up more so in the later game. And I guess also in the early game with the feats of strength, which is why I really like the addition.
Yeah, so as we were talking, we've talked a lot about the Otacon and how it spawns at 20 minutes. Now, that used to be where the Baron Nashor used to spawn. Now, we will see that is pushed back to the 25-minute mark. So if we're going to see that gameplay, then that's going to be 25 minutes.
Oh, looks
and
like
we're already going to get the first blood on Ball State's side.
Interesting how the support was on the top side. And looks like we're having some poking with Quokka. As mentioned earlier, Pike wanting to draw more kills in. Looks like Quokka is backing now. We're going to see some gameplay from the mid lane. And good thing that feats of strength change happened for EMU. They still have a chance to get the 3 kills for the 1 tier of feats of strength.
Now, some interesting stuff to note. We're taking a look at the mid lane right now, where we're getting a couple of pot shots from Wombat Baby, as that Ari we were talking about. But we actually see the ADC and support for EMU in the top lane. So we have Varus and Tom Kench up on the top, which normally they'd be playing bot lane. So I guess we have sort of a full switch up here. And
it's interesting how both sides adapted to that and went top lane immediately. Last game we did see didn't happen until halfway through the laning phase.
Yeah, this is going to be a large question of it, and it looks like we did get a good amount of damage off of Waffle Pig from Quokka and Chumslog. We're gonna.
Looks like Drywall is able to tank it though. We did get a flash from Chumslog. That's a huge stump spell, but it doesn't matter. Chumslog secures the 2nd kill for feats of strength and possibly the 3rd. And that is going to be the 1st tier, thanks to Chumslog. 1st tier on the way to feats of strength.
Yeah, so that is going to be a massive loss on EMU's side. And while they did get 1 kill, it just doesn't matter, especially with those feats of strength being so much harder now.
Now, it's not over. They still can get the 1st, if they get a good siege, they can take down the 1st turret and possibly get the 3 epic monsters, like a dragon or the heralds that spot on the top lane. Oh, looks like we got combos coming from both lanes, being Wombat Baby and the Aurora.
Now, it looks like we are getting a switch back on the sort of shift we had. We have the Maokai, so we're going to have
Maokai is going to be challenging the top lane, looks like, and Ezreal or Chumslog is going to stay up there, and it looks like we got a gank from Pike. Pike is going to be doing that a lot, and once he gets level 6, he can execute the enemy champions and give them gold, give gold to the team.
Quokka was able to jump in there and get that gank in on that kill from EMU. So up here on top, we are having a bit of an exchange here from Chumslog and Zero.
And that's going to be a flash from Zero, and I don't think it matters. The Ignite, and that is going to be another kill for Chumslog. Chumslog getting a huge advantage with a 200 gold bounty. Looking at the gold difference, we have a 76k in comparison to the 5.8. And Bessa stuck under turret, unfortunately.
Yep, looks like we've got Silk Flannels sort of trying to keep that outer turret safe here. Now, that outer turret does have a 50% damage reduction within the first 5 minutes. So, looks like we've got Drywall Boxer attempting to maybe get a bit of a flank off on Silk Flannel, but missing those skill shots right there. Looking back up at the top, we still have a Chumslog and Quokka working together to push forward.
They're keeping the wave either frozen or right under the turret, and the goal is once that wave is under turret, Zero's not going to be able to farm as much minions as he wants to. And they're taking this time to recall, gonna make the most out of all the gold they collected from those kills. We're going back to... As Blaster 3 is also Silk Flannel, is getting trades while still being stuck under turrets, and still staying able to be alive and getting as much gold as possible.
Yeah, so it looks like Ball State really has just kept up with that sort of flip of the bot lane and top lane that we had. But I'm wondering if we're ever going to get that switch up again, or because we do have a bit of a mirroring EMU with Drywall Boxer and Waffle Pig able to keep up under that turret on the bot lane, while a bit of that is happening on the top here.
As a reminder, another tier that Ball State needs is the tower. Once they get that tower, they are guaranteed that feats of strength. Wombat Baby stealing a cold. I think we saw the ultimate ability. Yeah, level 6 is whenever they get their ultimate, and it looks like we got a spirit. Is it Spirit Rush? Spirit Rush kill.
All right, and as we're at the 6-minute mark, like I was saying, those damage reductions are gone. Looks like we've got a 2v3 in favor of EMU, but that stun is going to keep them locked in.
We did get a flash from Silk Flannel, and however, they did trade sums. The flash for Ignite from the support. It looks like Zero still stuck under turret, unfortunately, but Ezreal Chum Slog keeping the aggression happening. Unfortunately, Zero's not able to collect as much CS as he wants to and has to back. That is a huge loss and possibly more platings for Chum Slog.
Yeah, that first plate's going to go down, and as we have a bit more of this wave, Chum Slog is really able to sort of just come in, and looks like we've got a battle against Zero and Chum Slog.
He's feeling more comfortable to push in since he knows that Remy is there to support along with Quokka. Quokka stealing a kill on the Nocturne. And looks like another exchange is happening in the mid lane. Not able to land a single hit on Wombat Baby. Oh, look, like those hits are going in back and forth between the casters.
Now, like you expected, there is a pretty large roaming bit. We have lots of folks out of their roles in different lanes, and taking a look at the gold count, it does look like we're in Ball State's favor right now at 13.9k gold against 10.4 on EMU's side. So that's near about 3.5k in Ball State's favor. So with Ball State pushing the top lane and sort of in a stalemate at the bottom, EMU is pushing that wave into bot lane outer turret, and it looks like
there's a fight going on in bot river. They did steal a kill, unfortunately. Looks like they're fighting for one of the epic monsters, being the dragon. I'm not able to see which dragon it is quite yet, or if it's already been taken. Looks like we're going down to the bot river taking... Nope, dragon's there. Looks like that's going to be the Hextech Drake. They took Scuttle Crab so they can have vision on the Drake. Now, it's very important that whenever they're taking objectives, and just so it's safer to get vision, they're going to want to push out these lanes surrounding the objective as much as possible, just to guarantee more safety.
All right, so here we are up on the top lane. We've got Maokai sort of just taken down a couple of the Ball State wave, but we are going to have a bit of an engage with.
Looks like Quokka takes Drywall Boxer, but with him, it looks like Drywall Boxer is building health at the moment. I wish I needed to know how the different champs build, but it looks like Tom's
Chum Slog's going to go ahead and take down that Zero. So we are pushing in on that outer turret in the mid lane. So Ball State's doing a pretty good job with these sort of pushes into the outer defenses, so we might see our first turret fall here if EMU's not able to get there quickly, and looks like we do have a teleport in from Lance Romance.
Not going to be the jungler hovering over this bot turret. It's also being contested. It's not as same critical state as the mid and top turret, but it's also being contested despite Mbessa or Silk Flannel earlier being stuck under turret for so long. It looks like Ezreal is traversing through our jungle. That's going to be our Chum Slog. There could be an exchange happening in the top area.
All right, so we do have Silk Flannel pushing that wave in to really bother that Varus. So as Varus pushes forward, we've got a bit of time before they're really at the doorstep of the outer defense on bot.
Oh, we're bringing back the door, are we?
Yes.
All right, looks like Nocturne is taking on the Drake with the assistance of Lance Romance. Will Ball State contest this?
But it looks like Ball State doesn't have vision in that area, so just unaware of that happening, EMU is going to get it. But we will be getting that second turret, which is, or that first turret in the top lane. So that is going to be the second feat of strength on Ball State's side. So the blessing of Noxus is going to go to Ball State.
It looks like EMU is a bit of an overstep. They have 2 turrets in between them. Oh, it looks like there's another engage going on in Tier 2 top. Already keeping that push going with the 3v1.
Now, the danger of pushing in on that turret when you're on low health is if you start fighting an enemy champion, they're going to, the turret's going to start aiming towards you. So we had a pretty large skirmish on the bot lane of Ball State side, but we're having an even larger push. And are we going to see this
is going to be Tier 3, possibly taking Tier 3. It's super low, and that is Tier 3. Huge gold comparison. Unfortunately, EMU wasn't able to catch the wave.
Yeah, it looks like they were a bit overextended on the bot lane, attacking Ball State's first turret in the bot lane. So we do have a bit of a spectator bug here, but it looks like we are back. Ball State fully pushing through those turrets on the top lane. The only thing defending the Nexus from that side is going to be those Nexus turrets out there.
Looks like they're contesting Scuttle Crab right now. Tom trying to steal that. I see you, Drywall Boxer, stealing the Scuttle Crab. And other than that, it looks like we're bouncing between different turrets. We don't just want top lane, we want bot lane and possibly mid lane coming from Wombat Baby and Chance Romance. But it looks like we have 3 people under Tier 1 of bot. That's going to be another turret. 4 turrets versus 0 for EMU. Oh, huge Maokai ult, gonna grab 3 of them. This could be huge if there's there's the Aurora ult from Chance Romance. Will this be a 3K? This is going back and forth. We got a kill for Wombat Baby and Chumslog now trying to escape. That was a huge gold.
Yeah, a real bloodbath for Ball State there, and EMU still pushing them back. That could have been a lot worse than it was, but it looks like we're going to sort of have to start hitting up those jungle camps and get back together and sort of, yeah. So as we head into this 14-minute mark, we're going to see where the Otacon is going to spawn this match if we get to that 20-minute mark.
Yeah, right now it looks like we are at 13 minutes into the game. We're still in laning phase. Once 14 minutes hit, the little segments of health that the turret has is now going to be just 1 health bar, and they're no longer to get gold from those platings. Looks like Quokka trying to tease the support. Does he know that the jungler is there? And looks like we have a little bit more buffering. There we go. Now we're back into it. Quokka possibly getting a pick from Chance Romance, but hiding away. Trickster.
All right, yeah, so we've got waves sort of meeting in on every single lane, and as Ball State pushes forward in the mid and top lane, we've got an exchange from, looks like, Zero and Silk Flannel up on the top, and with Wave meeting up at the first defensive mid lane. Ball State is so close to being able to take out that turret, and with those ranged attacks, they're able to take out a small bit.
EMU taking this time to back, but I don't know if they were going to want to do that. It looks like Chumslog might be able to take Tier 1 of mid while this is happening. Looks like Blaster 3 or Silk Flannel is taking the red buff of EMU, but gets stopped. And it seems like there'd be a huge team fight happening. We see Spirit Rush activated by our Wombat Baby. Chumslog scoring a kill. Oh, Wombat Baby dashed away but was unfortunately unable to escape. Chance Romance, a double kill for the Vars. Triple kill. That is going to not set back, but this is definitely a comeback for EMU. Unfortunately, Varus also losing his life.
Yeah, that
throughout
triple
huge
kill from
debacle.
Waffle Pig eventually falling, so Ball State was able to get that bounty, getting that shutdown. So Ball State's really poking in at the defenses and even offenses from EMU. Looks like we are going to get our second dragon spawn. So as we sort of head into near the 20-minute mark, a lot of objectives are going to start spawning, and we've got EMU once again taking out that dragon. Really looks like they've just got so many of their players right there taking down that dragon. Ball State is unable to do anything, even if they do have vision into the situation.
As you can see in the Dragon Pit, there's a control ward inhibiting vision. It looks like Wombat Betty stores a kill. Her ult is active. All right, unfortunately, has to run away. Not able to score in time. Oh, looks like there's a giant team fight happening. Tom Kench diving away. Ezreal, Chumslog getting a kill with the giant ultimate. Looks like Nocturne is going to fall next with Varus.
Now, EMU was able to get that dragon, but Ball State was able to respond with a full ace on their team, and as they're getting into these higher levels, those respawn timers are going to be absolutely brutal. So Ball State's just free to do whatever they like, pushing any lane unrestricted at this moment. That's where these teleports and all these other summoner spells would be coming great for EMU.
Looks like it's possible that we're going to get contested. Remy is taking out the Rift Herald while this time is happening. Mid lane and bot lane is being contested. They can't really do anything about the Rift Herald being taken. Tom might think otherwise. Here comes Drywall Boxer.
All right, so Chumslog sort of holding down mid lane while Drywall Boxer thinks about running back in, but looks like EMU is coming back to try and bring back that hold on jungle objectives. Now,
looks like Remy was able to take the Rift Herald, which is huge if Ball State wants to have a siege in one of the lanes. It looks like Red Buff was taken for EMU. It looks like there might be a huge team fight coming about.
There's a storm brewing, and
looks like there's a huge Nocturne ult, and possibly gonna get 1-2, and here comes the ult by Zero, rooting people in place. It looked like it just rooted
Wombat Baby was rooted right there, stunned for a duration, and EMU is coming back with a real large response to their ace beforehand.
Oh, looks like Quokka was able to get an execute with Pike ult, which grants gold to allies, depending on if they were involved in the kill. Unfortunately, Quokka isn't able to do much outside of this. It looks like we might lose Tier 1 of mid-turret from Ball State. Quokka seems like has to retreat to Tier 2 as EMU collects what they have earned.
Yeah, there goes Ball State's first turret. And taking a look at gold, we've got 38.9 on Ball State's side and 33.5 on EMU. So we've got a bit of a 5,000 gold point disparity. Looks like there were a lot of large clashes there. So as everyone's sort of regrouping and figuring out what their next move is, we are heading towards the 20-minute mark. And
it seems like we're going to have a contestant for Otacon. You see the big circle in the river. That's where it indicates where it's going to spawn. Trades back and forth by Drywall Boxer and Chumslog. Timid to make the first move. Looks like Quokka says, "Nuh-uh, come here."
All right, so looks like Ball State does really just hold all of the control over where Otacon is going to spawn. So in 10 seconds, we will get Ball State's first real look at the Otacon.
Quokka could be picked off here by the Tom. Went a little greedy. Nope, is able to escape. Pike is always so scary when it comes to playing. Oh, looks like Remy has taken over the Rift Herald, barraging incoming. Tier 2 mid lane has been taken, but for what, Ari? We got an ult from Zero and Lance Romance. Got to score a double kill for Waffle Pig. Huge. What is more gold? The Rift Herald taking turret or the 2 kills? No, it was 1 kill. My bad.
All right, so we've got this large push from EMU. If they are able to take out a good amount of Ball State's champions here, they might get the chance to take a stab at that Otacon. EMU is taking a pretty large lead on those objectives, so are they going to push in for their third dragon?
Surprisingly, there's no, at least not from what I can see, there's no vision on the Otacon. It looks like it's the Vivacious.
It was the Vivacious that did pop up on screen, so Riot Games has deemed that this is not a high kill game.
Oh, and it looks like we have a pause going on.
All right, so as we head into this pause here, as per tournament rules, pauses are able to last up to 10 minutes for the entire game. So we could... Not sure what the reason for the pause might be. It could be for a disconnect or any manner of bugs or technical difficulties. But as we're sort of heading in, we saw the Voracious Otacon spawn. So, as we've discussed, that's going to be additional gold on champion kills, and as champion kills are coming a lot more than EMU is doing a lot more than Toledo is able to do when it comes to kills. So if they are able to capture that, especially with the death mitigation, they might be able to have a pretty large push to try and take out Ball State's towers, since they are pretty defenseless at the moment.
Right. With the ability to redraw if they're dead, they can take a very risky and huge siege in whatever place. Rift Herald was already used, so that ability for Ball State is no longer in their arsenal, so there could be a huge siege coming from EMU. I am excited to see where this happens, but if Ball State takes this with their heavy push in Pike, we could have it could be a very interesting fight. Tom Kench, which was, who was that being played by again? Was a boxer.
Drywall Boxer.
Drywall Boxer slowly and slowly becoming more tanky. It is able to take more and more of those pokes. We're getting closer to that late game, and I don't think we have characters that do heavy scaling, so this might be a little scary for Ball State.
Yeah, so as we sort of head in there, especially if this whole thing is going to hold out, is if the Otacon is not killed by the 25-minute mark, then there are just going to be so many objectives right up there at the top of the map. So that river area is going to be pretty important to control, either pretty important to control or pretty important to fully stay away from.
Right. We're definitely going to want to have vision provided by Quokka throughout the jungle to see what is happening. There's a lot of... They're bouncing back and forth between different lanes, which was predicted earlier. And so it's really important to have huge map awareness with what's happening. Are they taking on Dragon, or there's a huge siege going? Is there lane splitting? There's a huge amount of decisions, and vision is really important to see what is happening throughout the map.
And just when it comes to objective, it seems like Ball State's really lacking when it comes to vision, or at least at the times where it really matters. So they were aware of the second dragon that was going to be the Ocean Dragon that EMU was able to grab, and looks like we are unpaused, so we are back in. Looks like we've got all of our champions in the bottom, so looks like we might be heading back to Fountain, but there's a good amount. Looks like we're getting a bit of vision from Ball State when it comes to the Otacon and top side.
Remy diving right into the Infernal Drake while EMU backs. Will they be able to come back and contest it at time? I don't think they will. A couple of buffering. I think this is going to be Infernal Drake. We talked about not getting objectives. Well,
there we go. Ball State regrouping after that pause. Looks like they're going to be rushing up. Are they going to try and take Otacon?
I'm not sure. It looks like Quokka is going up the river, getting vision. Some pokes coming from Drywall Boxer.
Everyone is converging in on the top side. Looks like Ball State will not be able to get Otacon uncontested at the very least.
All right, looks like we got a kill from the huge kill from the jungler, so that means they are not able to at least smite Otacon. The junglers have a summoner spell that once a jungle monster is at a certain health, they can use the sum as a strike onto a jungle monster and instantly kill.
On Otacon, so will EMU be able to counter in any kind of way, or will Wombat Baby and Remy be able to take Otacon here? Now, with the Voracious here, it does have better rewards in our opinion, and maybe that's the point. Maybe in those lower kill games, they want to sort of up or add gas to the bonfire, and Ball State with practically everyone in on it takes Voracious Otacon.
Unfortunately, I don't think there was much they could do without their jungler with the guarantee of smite. They just had to let it go. They did, however, take the advantage to push the waves a little further, so it takes Ball State a little longer to commit to a full siege. But while that was happening, Ball State recalling, getting the most out of the gold. And let's just see what happens next. Looks like a lot more of the action is coming up towards the top side of the map.
All right, so Ball State sort of heading down the mid lane. Looks like we might be heading up for a push with that death mitigation going on. This would be the perfect time to really hit EMU where it hurts.
I agree. Looks like the priority for Chumslog is mid lane and getting some vision throughout. Quokka drawing in to Tom Kench, but mentioned earlier, he is a lot more tanky now. We're going to only see that health bar go up.
All right. Well, so Ball State's not properly pushing into the inner sanctum of EMU's structure here, but as we sort of travel in, as the wave pushes into the second turret on bot lane, Ball State is going to take down Zero. Chumslog kill there, and there goes their turret. All of the turrets are going to be taken on all lanes, so...
As mentioned earlier, bouncing between the lanes, there's a huge, with no turret means there's nothing stopping the minions from sieging forward.
All right, so we've got a pretty, this is leaning pretty heavily towards Ball State. Ball State is up in kills and gold, and with the stat boost and death mitigation, gold on the Otacon death is just going to get more and more in Ball State's favor.
Chumslog taking advantage while they have it shoved in. Chumslog takes red buff, and it seems like there's going to be a huge fight happening for mid-tier 3. Possibly getting the inhibitor, which would give Ball State enhanced minions. Here we go. Huge fight. We see an Aurora ult. Huge kills atop the board while Ball State shoves in, takes down tier 3. We got a double kill for Remy. And unable to take inhib, but tier 3 is down. That's 2 out of the 3 tier 3s, right?
Oh yeah, and as we sort of take a look, we were able to see that death mitigation play a role there, and we saw a teleport on Ball State's side to rush into the Baron Nashor. Ball State is really looking to take in all of those epic monsters. Now, already with the 2 feats of strength, they don't need 3 epic monster kills, but they will take it anyway.
Yes. Now, they're taking the time to recall. With the Baron Nashor buff, they do have a sped up back, so they can go back, get with their minions, and possibly have a giant siege that could end the game.
Oh yeah. So that death mitigation looks like is coming to an end.
I think it's over. I think the death mitigation is over. However, Ball State is going to keep the Baron Nashor buff either until they die or until a certain point.
Yep, and that death mitigation did save 2 of Ball State's players there, so that pretty large engage on the front doorsteps of EMU just not unconsequential to Ball State. So as we sort of push in on the bottom side of Summoner's Rift, we're going to see if we will have any large exchanges here.
And this is where vision is very important. Whenever it comes to equipping vision, whenever you only see one person on one side, it's debatable whether or not the rest of the team is right behind it, or Blaster 3, for example, didn't know that there were 3 or 4 people waiting for him in topside.
Yeah, uncontested, Remy is able to take down that Infernal Drake. So that's going to go ahead and be 2 dragon kills on both sides.
And it looks like it's possibly going to be with the enhanced minions, possibly going to take down not tier. This is going to be mid inhibitor. Quokka drawing in Tom, possibly going to be the first death, which would be EMU's tank, and that is going to be inhibitor, possibly.
Top inhibitor also being taken out. All inhibitors are going to be
going down. This is the power, not just Opticon, this is the power of Baron Nashor. EMU pushing back with both Zero ult and Lance Romance ult. Double kill for the jungler. Now they're trying to retreat, keep the Baron Nashor ult ability as long as they can. Quokka takes a kill off Tom, and looks like we have Lance Romance with another trade. This is going back and forth. I thought this was going to be a retreat, but with more minions coming in is another siege.
Yeah, those minions are just really zoning in, and there goes all turrets on EMU's side. Will they be able to drive back Ball State, or will this be it for their Nexus?
I see all three lanes are having a huge wave with the enhanced minions. They have those paladins marching in.
Now, if EMU is able to keep back these minions and Ball State as a whole, then those inhibitors will respawn after a full 5 minutes of being broken, and those Nexus turrets are going to respawn after 3 minutes. So if they can hold back these barrages of attacks from Ball State, then they might be able to come back, but as far as we can see, this is such a large Ball State lead here.
This is also another thing to take into consideration. Jungle monsters do not stop spawning whenever you're all sieged in, and you could still be taking a Baron Nashor can come back. There's dragons to be taken. This could, depending on how long they spend in their fountain, this could be a huge gold disadvantage and miss out on all the opportunities to come back if they don't take down the siege that Ball State looks like they're coming back in from 2 different lanes. We have Pyke, Quokka coming in, Maokai ult from Zero. We've got a pick off of, unfortunately, our jungler, Remy.
A good sizable amount of damage in on that Nexus. The minions unimpeded are striking in at that. So, Wombat Baby taking out Lance Romance, shut down.
That's going to be Silk Flannel. I think this is going to be GG. The Nexus goes down. That is going to be an ace.
Ending with an ace.
This is not a pentakill, but that means that Silk Flannel took the last kill. They were all dead, and that ends the first game. What'd you think?
I mean, okay. We got to see a lot of the new content, including the Otacon. So as we head into round 2, I mean, it'd be awesome if we could get a high kill game and see both a kill on the Voracious and the Ruinous Otacon as we sort of tie off this game with a bow. Now that was a great round. Great round.
And you definitely got to see 2 different priorities at play. It seemed Ball State wanted to prioritize taking down each individual turret. Whenever I play my own games, usually it's like, okay, one lane has all their turrets down, let's go siege there, but Ball State wanted to take all those turrets. While EMU really wanted to take the objectives and possibly get advantages through there. Different gold values, different strategies. It's really interesting to see those in play.
Completely different macro strategies from both sides, and we saw that Ball State was able to sort of just push forward and take the objectives that EMU was able to take early on didn't matter. So as they sort of pushed forward, they were able to prevail. It did look like a bit of an even game for a bit, but Ball State was continuously up in gold and kills.
And those numbers, they do be numbers, but those numbers mean a lot.
Oh yeah, and as we sort of get into this, Ball State, as we've seen all of the teams that we face, they sort of get an idea of how Ball State plays. So as we head into the second round, this game is all but over.
Absolutely.
So easily, EMU could come back and change up their bans and selects, and they could try and counter any of Ball State's. And now they know how aggressive Ball State would like to play. Maybe they'll play a bit more defensive, playing more into that health like the Tom Kench or Drywall Boxer that we saw.
We did see that in the bans. One of the bans to take a note, we had Wombat Baby's Ari was an AP champion, does ability power damage, and with one of the bans, I assume Wombat Baby be banned Galio. Galio is an AP tank, so Ball State wants to eliminate any tank, so I could possibly see a Tom Kench ban or more so tankiness ban since they want to get those kills as quick as possible.
Yeah, so I'm wondering as we sort of soon get into the selection and ban phase, if we're going to be expecting the same bans from both sides, if they're just real fearful of those potentially countering, or they're aware of the other team's prowess when it comes to that. But sort of, are we going to see the same stuff, or are we going to see hard counters and banning each other's...
Something that we didn't really reflect on, but I thought I would predict this, but now thinking about it, Mel was not banned.
Nope.
So I'm curious as if they're not fully comfortable with the character yet. Like I said, the character came out not even a week ago. Last Thursday, Mel came out into the world, and there was no ban. So I'm curious if there's maybe not comfortable with the champ yet.
Now, when it comes to EMU, I'd really expect them to, if they've been able to play with Mel, I'd really expect them to sort of choose it, because maybe at this point, Ball State has not played enough against Mel to sort of know how to counter or play against them, so it might have been a pretty good choice to sort of surprise Ball State with that pick, but no, it is a very large risk in trying out a champion that you haven't even been able to play for the last week.
It's also risking banning that champion because, yes, the character is new, they're going to be a little stronger, but are you willing to put your ban, you're taking away your counter? It's decisions from whenever you load into the game, champion select, the decisions start.
Yeah, I think sort of as we sort of distance ourselves from the release of Mel, we might see a bit more use of them in competitive play, but at this point, I think it is a bit too much of a risk from even both sides.
Right.
Now, Ball State is not aware of how EMU plays thus far. Now, if they were a bit more familiar, they might choose to play against it, but we've not seen how EMU play in this season. Now, from your opinion, EMU, their first round of this season, how do you think they're doing?
I definitely think this is a huge step, especially with the new team. Carlios, you said, was the one that came back. We didn't see him. At least I did not see him. And so this is a completely new team. I think, honestly, despite the loss, I think this is a huge start. I think if they analyze this well, seeing, okay, they're huge, go in, finish the game. If we get characters that scale really well later on, the characters that come to the top of my head, I don't know if they are the experts in them. Veigar is a character that collects stacks to prevail later on in the game. We have Smolder, Dragon's Practice is also a bunch of later champions. I'm curious if they're going to play more into that, or if they're going to go into more tankiness and counter the huge sieges from early on in the game.
Now, if we want to take into account last season and how Ball State's been able to play thus far, we can kind of expect either I am completely underestimating the rest of the league, or EMU has really come back with quite the team, because they were holding up pretty even with Ball State, and Ball State won last year.
Right.
So if they're able to sort of hold their own against last year's champ, this might be a show that EMU is ready to play and ready to win if they sort of get the chance. But Ball State, we're going to see how Game 2 goes, and we'll see if we'll need a Game 3. But if Ball State does the exact same thing they did this last round, then it'll be GG.
It'll be GG. And I am curious, as look, I'm thinking back to our predictions, and this game too could be. You predicted that the first game we would win, right?
Oh yeah, I was expecting the usual Ball State real push, but then EMU understanding on how that's going to play out, so they sort of push forward and get that second game. But as we go into Game 3, Ball State would know how EMU is going to respond and be able to take that on their own court and just take them down with a 2-1. Now, both of ours are still on the table.
Right.
So,
and both of ours, I see in common that we think EMU is going to have a bigger pushback now that they know Ball State's strategy. But also, Ball State facing off a completely different team this year, they might be learning as well. So,
yeah, so, I mean, when it comes to future games, it's going to be interesting to sort of keep up with Ball State and EMU. Now, Ball State is really just showing off to be a real powerhouse this season. So as we sort of get into it, we're going to see how one of our new players, Ali Plain, sort of continues to go as he goes through this. All of our players, except for Chumslog, I believe they haven't really played much rank this season, are within the top 3 ranks of all of League of Legends. So I think most of them are at the Grandmaster rank. So
that is quite incredible. And something I wanted to also point out, this is going back to the bans, we did not see a Fiora game despite the ban was not there. So I'm curious as to the strategy behind that. Is Mbessa more of a team fight? What was going on with that?
Yeah, so we went ahead and saw Silk Flannel immediately lock in that Mbessa. Maybe sort of like maybe muscle memory at this point of expecting Fiora to be banned, so sort of getting better with that Mbessa. So that might be what we're looking for, but if we do see Fiora gameplay, that'd be pretty solid. We were able to take a look at that Ari gameplay with Wombat Baby, so
we did see that ult in play. We didn't see a pentakill, but the Spirit Rush, being able to go in, the giant heart you saw on the screen earlier was her charm, being able to charge. She got quite a few picks with with those abilities. So Ari is a character played by, if you know much about League, when it comes to Worlds and huge competitive, then you probably know about the best mid laner being Faker. Ari is one of his picks, along with Galio. We saw the ban earlier. So it's, if you know her kit very well, despite it seeming simple, it can take down.
yeah.
It's a menace.
All right, so are you expecting any specific ban from Ball State? Do you think particularly one of EMU's roster gave them so much trouble that they'd just like to take them off the table completely?
I still think they're going to land on the more tanky side. I feel like there's going to be another Galio ban. I'm interested to see why they ban Corki. But I feel like they're going to... I think there's a good chance there could be a Tom Kench ban, but it's hard to say. Despite his tankiness, they were able to combat that. Other than that, I don't see any of the bans changing.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, truly, since we saw this game sort of go into the late game, I'm wondering if Ball State's going to be building to play mid and late, or if they're still going to be doing that large push, real hard early game.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see the response from EMU and how Ball State's sort of playing against them, but I guess we'll just wait until the select ban phase gets started.
I'm curious to see how EMU's going to change their bans, though. Something that I briefly mentioned, but we were focused on you naming off those titles, was usually whenever it comes to ADC and support bans, they're both going to ban a support, since supports can severely change the laning phase for an ADC. But EMU seems to want to they took out the Jhin and the Kai'Sa, which was Ali Plane's characters, so I'm curious if they're really wanting to shut down the ADC's chances of going forward.
Yeah, so I mean, Ali Plane's not even on the board this game, so
Right.
not going to be a pretty large detriment to Ball State, but Chumslog is also a pretty avid Kai'Sa player. So that's a bit of a shutdown on their end, but that's sort of what you go for when it comes to playing in tournaments, that you're not sure who the roster might be, so you can't exactly pick the bans and selects, or just the bans beforehand.
Right.
So I guess that's sort of where a coach would come in and was like, okay, this person is playing, this is exactly who we need to watch out for and make sure that we ban these specific champions, because if they get it, it's game over.
Right. So was there any other part of the game that really stuck out to you, like as far as...
I was pretty surprised that it took so long to get to the objectives. For the most part, Ball State ignored objectives, and they really took those towers, and it gave them the win, from what I can tell. That they were able to push in, and those objectives just didn't really matter a whole lot to them. EMU even getting specifically 2 dragons before Ball State sort of fighting back. Even that second dragon, Ball State wasn't able to do anything with how scattered everybody was and how focused in on getting that ocean dragon EMU was.
Right. Another buff to be considered that we have not talked about yet, and this is a later game depending on how much dragon is contested. If a team is able to score 4 dragon kills, an elder dragon is going to spawn, and if the elder dragon's killed, they get huge buffs, including a huge burn. Once they attack an enemy, their huge burn and splash is applied to a champion, and that it just melts characters if you're not tanky or don't have pretty much no tank.
Yeah, so that Elder Dragon fully gives burning execution effects and bonus damage for a time after the kill. So specifically those, we can sort of get into all of the rewards for dragons if we wanted to, but let's see. They were able to get the Hex Dragon, Hextech Dragon, the Ocean Dragon, and then Ball State was able to grab 2 Infernal Dragons.
Right, and we did see with the dragons also comes map changes overall. On the ground, we did see those little fire. The fire is able to give champions a little bit of ability haste and a little bit of a speed up. And depending on if they need to make a quick escape or a quick engage, that is whenever those little bits of flame take place.
Yeah, so each of these sort of transformations of after I believe it's the 3rd dragon spawns, the entire rift is going to change in a bit of a way. In certain aspects with certain dragons, you really want to pay attention to those, but for most macro play, it's not going to make much of a difference.
Right.
So, I guess as we're waiting for the next round to start, we can sort of look at the... Oh, we are being asked a challenge from one of our producers, so yeah, we'll take the challenge.
Take the challenge.
Okay, so we have been given the
task to draw Ari. You get a stylus, I get a finger, so...
So here's the issue. You've seen Ari a lot more.
Oh, okay. We had a lot of gameplay with Ari, I feel like...
Yes, but that also... So, as we're looking at that, let's see, it's Wombat Baby that plays Ari.
Right.
They're using a skin.
The silhouette is basically the same.
I don't know the silhouette. We didn't spend enough attention on Ari for me to do it, but I'm sure going to give it my try.
All right, ready to go.
I'm also not much of an artist. You're a lot more of an artist than I am.
It is my major. Are you kidding?
All right.
Okay,
well,
we'll save
so
that.
Never mind. We're not drawing Ari.
We'll save it for the end of the game. How about that?
Victor ban.
Victor ban and a Corky ban. We'll wait until after. We're going to look at the bans. Look, we have a Skarner ban, a LeBlanc, similar bans as the last game. And we're going to our last bans. Pike. Ball State banning Pike. That is interesting.
They might
Oh, no, they're flipped.
Okay.
Okay, that's what we didn't okay, so we have EMU on the blue side and Ball State on the right. It looks like they did not like that Pike gameplay.
Nope, not at all. So, looks like we're getting some pretty large changes here. So, from 0, we're going to see a Cho'Gath pick, a Jin Zhao from Remy, Thresh from...
That is not Thresh. It looks like on EMU side we have a Cho'Gath, a Vagar, oh my god, Viego, and Syndra. And on Ball State side we have, as said, Mbessa, Sinjal, and Aurora. Looks like Wombat Baby's like, okay, I see your bunny and I can do better. For rest of the bans, we have EMU bans Vi and J4, Jarvan 4. And on Ball State side, they are banning Ari and Braum. Now we're going into the ADC and support picks for EMU. Looks like it's going to be Ashe. And on Ball State side, we have Varus making his return. We are wrapping it up. Support picks is going to be Nautilus, and on the other side, Pantheon. Interesting. We still see the engage happening for Ball State, but I kind of predicted this. We have two big tanks being Nautilus and Shogath, scaling over time.
All right.
What else are you thinking of this roster?
I'm thinking that I'm going to rant about how Victor's title was changed. So,
Okay.
Victor, he had a change recently so that he matched more of what we saw in Arcane.
Right.
His original title was the Machine Herald. He was the Machine Herald. However, now he is the Herald of the Arcane.
Right. Because his whole lore was completely changed with the addition of Arcane. Arcane, honestly, is mainly about how Victor became, what was the Herald of Arcane?
Yes, the Herald of the Arcane.
Herald of
but
the Arcane.
Sort of. Let's take a look. I can finish my rant at some other time. But as we take a look at these summoner spells, looks like we're getting mostly the same picks. But we do have. Looks like, is that a heal on?
No, that looks like Nautilus is taking Ignite. Everything looks the same. It looks like, except this time our ADC Gerald 1 is taking Barrier this time. Gerald 1 is most likely is Chump Slug, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So Gerald 1 is taking Barrier instead of Teleport last time.
Yeah, and it looks like we've got the same pick on Waffle Pig on the other side. So we've got same summoning spells in their respective roles. So as we sort of transition in here, we can expect some pretty interesting gameplay. Those teleports not really as, or do we have a couple teleports. However, looks like we're not going to be getting much lane switching this game. So
right. But though there's still a lot of diving going on. I'm looking at the two major changes being the Pantheon and the Aurora. Let's go into Pantheon first. Pantheon is another melee support that once he can be played anywhere, and that's the joke around him. He can be played literally anywhere. And he has an ability where he jumps on people and does a massive amount of damage, and he has an E that can block. So huge amount of burst if you can't see him. And you have Aurora, which has you saw the giant circle on the ground earlier. That will, if Aurora lands that circle, the enemies can't escape. And in fact, when they hit the wall, they're just stuck and stunned. And the Aurora can jump onto the walls and jump back and forth between two different sides. We didn't get to see it because there was so much happening, but Aurora's ult is super powerful when it comes to poking. Aurora can go invisible, jump in, throw off her magical spells, whether it be her projectile, her launch of Q, taking back. It's just a lot of in and out. She's a bunny.
Yeah. Can you believe this League of Legends stuff?
Can you believe this League of Legends?
Yeah.
They're legendary.
Yeah. Just the Fantastic Four moment of was like, what is this? A League of Legends? I was like, say that again. All right, so I guess as we're waiting for the game 2, we can finish our Ari artwork.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Now, when you're really making this, what are you expecting? What are Ari's most important aspects, would you say?
I feel like being the nine-tailed fox, which I'm surprised the title isn't just considered. Oh my gosh, I can't with my finger.
That really sucks to suck. I couldn't imagine having to.
I'm giving
make
mine a frowny
art
face.
live on air.
Oh.
Match has been found, and as we head in,
okay.
no Ari art for you guys.
I'm gonna keep mine like face down just so you can't see. It looks
What
like
is
looks
this
like a
large
huge
push?
siege going in bot lane. Unfortunately, wasn't able to get the hook and immediately channeling back. That's an approach.
An EMU strategy that is unexpected to say the very least.
Yeah, and looks like we're sticking with the bot lane. It looks like our top laner Silk Flannel is sticking with bot lane with drywall boxer.
Oh yeah. So
Along with the other ADC, and as far as top lane, we have the Varus being Chumslog and Quokka going up against Shogath. Interesting.
yeah, so not much action's happening on, but we were watching Wombat Baby sort of just step directly through all of the brush. And looks like we're
immediately a poke. That's the jump in I talked about, and jumped out immediately. That's already 1/3 of Zero's health, and will he back and take this ES? He has his potions, is able to heal back up. That's the huge jump in that I was talking about earlier. This is going to be a scary lane for Zero.
All right, so looks like we've got a clash on all 3 lanes right here. So we've got Quokka, Chumslog up on the top, but we've got we had a bit of a stun there for Wombat Baby, but as we sort of get into this as Aurora,
it looks like Pantheon sees the opportunity. It looks like there was a trade of kills. Quokka gets the kill on Viego, and looks like the fight is still going, taking it down to mid lane. Oh, we're not able to see it anymore. Well, there was more kills happening. Looks like Ball State is up 2-1. They have 1 more kill, and that's 1 tier to Boots.
oh yeah.
How fast this happens with the engage mentioned earlier. Ball State needs to take these advantages while they can before Shogath and Nautilus gets their full tankiness.
Yeah. And just a reminder, folks, Ball State is now on top side, so Ball State's going to be red side. So if you were just paying attention to colors beforehand, switch sides if you're on Ball State's side. If you are EMU watching us, stay on red side. Keep cheering for red side.
Right. It did throw me off there for a second. I'm mentally back. Mbessa from Silk Flannel standing ground like, nah, you're not gonna jump on me. What are you doing? Because unlike Pyke, whenever Pyke hooked, the character was drawn towards Pyke, but now with a Nautilus has to go forward, so there's a huge risk when it comes to Nautilus using this hook rather than Pyke.
Yeah, as the first plate almost gone on Ball State's first turret.
All right, we are jumping into top lane. Our Quokka able to get some pokes off. No vision in the shrubbery for Zero. I feel really bad for the Zero. He doesn't have his tankiness yet. He's not a big boy yet. And we will see big boy Shogath later, by the way. As the match goes on, he gets bigger and bigger, but it doesn't matter. A gank from... And that is going to be the first tier for feats of strength.
Yeah, that's going to be the first feat of strength. So we are half of the way to getting the Blessing of Noxus.
Right. And like I said, we talked about vision earlier. Since Shogath Zero didn't have vision in that bush, he did not see Remy jump in and just take away his life.
Yes, and with this vision sort of war we're getting, we actually saw Drywall Boxer, so EMU's side sort of going into the jungle to make sure that they're taking down as much of that vision from Ball State's side as they can.
A huge risky play by Wombat Baby. I don't know if he knew that the Viego was there. Getting vision of blue buff. Vision is the talk of the day, apparently. We're moved on past doors. Now we're gonna see what's beyond the door.
I'll bring back the door if it's needed.
Okay.
But by the time Ball State got to the doorway, it didn't matter. There was barely a house.
Right. There was no house. It got blown away by the big bad wolf.
Yeah.
All right. Looks like Zero's taking this time to back. This is just huge. Unfortunately, Shogath isn't able to lane as well as he thought he would. Looks like Aurora, Wombat Baby taking his time to back. Mentioned earlier, we have Viego challenging the Dragon, and looks like he's going to claim it. I don't think Ball State is going to contest this.
Yeah, this is just why Vision's so important. I'm not sure if we're really expecting sort of that push for objectives this early. So now that Void Grubs are in and they were able to take down one Dragon, EMU's already getting started on those epic creatures.
Silk Flannel was pushed back on turret for a long period of time. I don't think they were able to just go in. It was too risky with not knowing who's all there. Speaking of which, will Zero respond to Xin Zhao sitting at their try? And looks like Shogath isn't really able to do anything about it. Another kill for Chumslog. And looks like more tiers equals more gold for Ball State.
Now, if EMU's not able to get to this first defense tower on the top, we might see already the Blessing of Noxus coming into play here, as that first turret top is, there we go. Finally, Zero's able to come in here and
use the summoner spell teleport. You saw the Zero just pop in. There was a little circle around the tower earlier. Pantheon, will Quokka respond to this immediate push? Does Zero know that Pantheon is there?
Okay, so we did see a kill on Waffle. We saw Waffle Pig get a kill there, so Ball State, this is, compared to every other round that Ball State's played in this tournament thus far, this is slow.
It's definitely slower. They don't have the same push as they did with Pike and Vi earlier. But it's not like a horrible thing, but it's definitely going to come into play if they don't make like quicker sieges. Shogath and Nautilus are only going to get bigger. Wombat Baby looks like is going to be challenging the Viego jungle. Xin Zhao able to help. Here's the giant ult as talked about earlier. And Wombat Baby securing a kill. Viego can't farm in his own jungle.
Yeah, so as we're sort of seeing in another takedown, and looks like Nautilus Drywall Boxer taking those hits, massive hits from Wombat Baby. They're such low health right now. If they are able to get this sort of flank gank here, then they could make pretty big moves here. But it's
Quokka playing back so that way Aurora can jump in, flashed in and able to get a shutdown on the Ashe. Shutdowns or whenever they claimed the bounty, and it looks like Pantheon running for his life, but Quokka is able to live the Nautilus hook.
What a solid save there. Quokka was so close, within an inch of death, but with that one kill, we were able to pull back, get that channel back, and heal at the fountain.
Absolutely. All right. Viego learning the lesson about wards, is able to take advantage of the control ward and taking down as much vision as they can. Now we're going to go back into, we're going into the mid lane with Varus versus Syndra. It's interesting, now we have our bot laner in the mid lane.
Yeah, so we've had a lot of, so Varus has been mostly playing top.
Right.
When traditionally Varus is meant to be bottom, so we're getting a real interesting switch up. Ball State is just still on that switch up of bot, folks that usually play bot up on top.
Oh, and we just saw earlier, we had Quokka use Pantheon ult, which, if you're not aware what Pantheon ult does, able to click on a location and is able to rush in. The ult damage itself was able to kill, and looks like we have a huge fight for tier 1. Chumslog taking down Dry Wallpaper, able to defend the turret and get a double kill. Though unfortunately Chumslog was slain by the opposing jungler.
And
from
there
EMU.
goes that first turret. So looks like Ball State was able to take the Blessing of Noxus there.
And that is going to be, once again, Ball State taking tier 2 boots.
Yeah, so they'll be able to get tier 3 boots once they upgrade 2 items into legendary. So once they meet that, Ball State's just still poking in on those tier 1 turrets. Is there going to be an EMU response from Drywall Boxer here?
Right. Oh, barely misses the hook. That could have been a dead baby. All right, Wombat Baby getting some CS in Nautilus. We have Drywall Paper taking a very aggressive approach, has the Ashe to support them, and now we're going back to the mid lane. Syndra's been keeping up on CS, has the most CS in the game so far. Not really much as far as damage and kills, but we can see on the scoreboard the 109 critter score. Means despite, even though that kills can grant gold, the huge amount of minion kills also gives them the gold that they're missing out with the kills.
Okay, so we're getting closer and closer to a couple. Oh, we've got a bit of a fight for Void Grubs here. So who will be able to take in this kill here? Will we see a smite from either side to be able to steal those Void Grubs in? But it looks like Ball State is pushing EMU out and taking those grubs for themselves.
We did see 2 ultimates there. We did see Aurora's big circle, but we haven't got to the time to talk about Viego yet. Viego has the ability to, if you play Overwatch, you know the character Echo being able to turn into other characters. Viego's be able to do the same thing, and once a character dies, they turn into them for a split second, be able to get some health regain, and all we saw, I believe, Viego turn into Varus. And despite the huge ultimate, it doesn't compete against Aurora's ult.
Yeah, looks like we've got Wombat Baby pushing in on top lane, but EMU is close by. Will we see a turret, or will we see Ball State take this dragon completely
It looks like
unbothered?
Uncontested, yeah. A more important fight looks like Viego taking down tier 1 turret for top lane, while same time, Xin Zhao taking down the first. Is that the first dragon? No, it's the second dragon. They're even on dragons now. And we see a map change for Chemdrake, so that means different jungle plants like the health. You see little health grapes turn into give bonus health and shielding whenever consumed, as well as the vision.
Taking a look at those gold.
Oh, we have a fight going on. We have a flash from the Xin Zhao. We're able to see Silk Flannel go back in and steal a kill. We have this fight continuing. Waffle Pig, unfortunately, taking down Silk Flannel and taking up the whole mid lane.
So we saw Silk Flannel trying to get out of there to make sure that they don't die, but they were able to be captured.
Huge ult from Wombat Baby, able to secure Nautilus, and we have another kill for Quokka, double kill. Was that 3? Was that 3
That was
deaths?
3 picks off of EMU's roster. So as they're stuck in the respawn phase, they're going to have to regroup here as Ball State is taking all of their first tier turrets.
Viego able to swoop in. Whenever he's in that little channel and not dealing any damage, people can't see where he's going to come in, but it looks like he's taking the time to defend turret, while Ball State takes matters in other places.
Chumslog pushing in that wave on bot lane so that their bot lanes, so EMU's bot lane has to take care of it while he takes a break back at the fountain.
Right. Wombat Baby pushing it a little too close, hugging the Nautilus. All right, okay, bye.
Yeah,
That's
just
what I
a
talked
small
about,
little
the jump
smooch.
in and out. With the Q ability not only launching a projectile forward, but is able to hop backwards. That's what we talked about, the huge poking with Aurora.
Okay, so we've got a bit of time before any real epic monsters are going to be respawning here, so it's mostly just a bit of a turret game here. So as Ball State's able to pull through 2 turrets with EMU 0 thus far.
Right. Looks like EMU taking back, making sure that they don't take turret. They got vision on Silk Flannel for just a second. Quokka looking around, getting vision in the EMU's jungle. Huge amount of vision around the red buff.
Yeah, it looks like Ball State's able to be pushing in both on top and bottom.
Looks like Wombat Baby got a little greedy, thinking that with a huge vision in jungle, wasn't able to stay safe under the turret. We see Zero a little bit bigger. He is getting the tankiness. We are getting closer and closer to the inevitable late game, the inevitable giant giant dinosaur.
Now, we are seeing a 6,000 gold lead here on Ball State's side, so if EMU's not able to get in that gold and sort of hold back Ball State, we might see a 2-0 here. But if this is the game to come back and go at least one round win against Ball State, here's the time to turn it around.
They've got a shutdown. That's a huge shutdown for the Viego, and it leads up to a fight in the enemy jungle. We have Aurora ult from Wombat, poking him in and out, so that way they're able to not take as much damage and kills. Oh, but it looks like we have some buffering going on the spectator's view. Oh, we're back. Rift Herald here, yay!
All right. So 16-minute mark, we're able to see at this point where the Otacon's going to spawn, and EMU is a bit behind when it comes to kills and gold. So, but if they are able to shut down Quokka and get that bounty on him, EMU might be able to get a bit of a comeback here. Is Shumslaw going to be able to get out of there before dying here?
Looks like there was an ignite. We were able to see the aftermath of that, but it looks like it turned out a little bit better for EMU. Ash able to still get some kills. Oh no, Quokka jumps in. That's an example of whenever Quokka as Pantheon jumps in, the character he jumps on becomes stunned for a little bit, not giving Ash enough time to
I want to talk about how Silk Flannel was in a one-on-one fight with Zero, but deciding to dive in on the tower and take advantage of the...
Oh, looks like a Pantheon ulting in is able to secure a kill on Shogath. That's how, when it comes to being comfortable seeing, I did see the jungler a little bit to the left. Remy was lingering about, was able to take a little bit more of those risks, and with the Pantheon ult, Pantheon can use ult, I think it's map wide. So you talked about the risk, but there's a lot of, the junglers are hanging about, like, okay, I got you, boo.
Yeah, so I guess just their back being watched by our jungler. The next dragon is up, so I guess we'll see who's going for it. But that's gonna be, is that gonna be first turrets down on every single?
At least tier 1. I'm looking. Nope. Tier 1 for Ball State is still up for top lane. As far as all the other ones, yeah, you're right. They're taken down. Looks like there is a bit of fight. Looks like there's a bit of a graphics glitch with the Drake's pit.
All right, so
looks like, okay, here we go. Now we can see it. It looks like it's gonna be a Chem Drake, and you see a little gold. EMU, if EMU claims this dragon, they do get some gold in return. Huge fight going on in EMU's turret. Wombat Baby takes a kill and turret. Will they ricochet and challenge Dragon right after? Viego and Syndra up at the top lane. Looks like they're recalling to counter against the Rift Herald. I didn't even see them take this Rift Herald down. This is going to be tier 2 turrets taken by the Rift Herald. Snowball after snowball.
yeah, I think we're going to see an end to Shelly here in a moment. Yeah,
No,
there we go.
No Shelly dance, unfortunately. Viego taking down Chumslog, forcing BSU to retreat. However, they did take tier 2 bot turret.
So interesting to note that Ball State has fully pushed in on the mid and bot lane. So we might be getting an end game here pretty soon, pushing in on the enemy's fountain.
We did see a Silk Flannel death, but while that was happening, Xin Zhao almost instantly taking down Chemdrake. And so Ball State is up 2 dragons to 1. As far as looking at all the other bounties, or at least objectives, the only objective that EMU was able to take was 1 dragon and 1 turret.
Yeah, so as we
Huge
sort of
gold
wait
difference.
for this spectator bug to sort of work itself out, I mean, what are we really looking out for? Because Ball State's pushing in. How is EMU going to get out of this, or are we going 2-0?
They have to play late game. They have to have Shogath. Looks like Shogath is building up. I think it's it's an ability where over time he gains health, and as he gains health, he gets bigger. I see that. You see the stacks going on in his items. Unfortunately, he is 1-6, so not able to score as much as kills, but hopefully is taking in a lot of damage.
Yeah, so you've been hearing us reference the gold count. So when it comes to the gold count, that's a pretty good reference to see who's winning, because with more gold, you can get more items, making you even stronger. So as long as teams are being pretty smart with their gold, they're able to sort of just turn that gold into power and push forward. So as Ball State having this really massive gold lead, we're sort of just expecting the eventual end to this game with EMU.
Yeah, I don't think Shogath's going to be able to get to the point. He's not scoring the kills. He's not able to CS as well because of earlier in the game. He's not able to get the gold he needs to become the tanky monster that he needs to be, unfortunately. He is getting a stacking item that will progress later on throughout the match, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
Yeah, so I guess once our sort of game is able to get started, we'll see where we're at. It'd be real interesting if just like the game ended while we're not able to see.
Our GG is going to be... You want to take some time to draw Ari?
I've already got a bit of my Ari done, so...
All right.
I'm
struggling. I've been like deleting back and forth because I'm not liking my lines, man.
I'm gonna make Ari a goblin.
What?
I don't remember what they look like. I'm just going based off of titles, and I mean, if we want to, no. Next broadcast I do, there's a chance that there's a quiz for me on titles.
Oh yeah,
so
that's right.
That might be a pretty fun thing to see. So, and now let me finish up my Ari here.
Oh, I gave mine has a little bit of a slouch, but that's okay. I'm gonna try to fix that. I'm gonna make it look like it looks like a tail. Yes. I'm making it look more like the splash art since while I was working on the artwork, I saw the splash art for long. This is so hard with this. It doesn't. I clipped my nails recently, so it's a different experience. I don't know. It probably makes it better. I'm not seeing it. I tried.
Have a stylus. I'm done with mine.
I think there's nothing else I can do. All right. You want to race at the same time?
Yep. 3, 2, 1. All right. So we've got a bit of a.
Mine has a little bit of slouch, but that's okay. Here, do you want to move yours into the light a little bit more?
You know what? Here, you take a small look at it. I'll take a small look at yours. Oh, yours is nice and cute.
Yes, it has a little bit of slouch. I like how you had a little bit of hatching. I love it. We won.
Ball State has won. So really, really wonderful gameplay from what we can see.
Yeah.
Yeah, so hi, I'm the spectator from the back room. League is a fragile client, and I don't know what happened. The game's frozen at 19 minutes, and we cannot seem it to get played. The game is over. They're done. They're actually just done. For those of you who don't know, you have to stream on a 3-minute delay for most of these streams, so they can't prevent cheating and all that.
Right.
But League of Legends already has a built-in 3-minute delay, forcefully, which is fine when the replay system works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So EMU won. Won 2 rounds in the minutes that we were gone.
Yeah, so that's why we're not cutting back to game.
Right.
So the game is over. I know, kind of anticlimactic. I've never seen this happen.
That's crazy.
I've done this 3 years. I've never seen League of Legends crap out like this.
That is crazy. I mean, it has been updated since 2009. That's whenever the game released. She's an old one. So
Esports title.
There's, for reference, for those who don't play League of Legends, whenever you go in, there's the League client and there's the League game, 2 separate clients. So I'm sure when it comes to streaming that's got to be.
Yeah, so what I can say is with all of my experiences with League of Legends, this happens 50% of the time. So
there's a lot of issues with, hey, look at the stats.
Look at that. Yay.
So looks like we did get a Ball State win 0-2. So Daphne, you will win that prediction there. I had faith in Eastern Michigan, but there we go.
They still gave a huge a huge fight, especially in that first game towards the end. It was an entertaining game to watch.
Yeah, so I think somebody should call the Australians because Ball State found a way to win the war against the Emus.
I missed the door.
You missed the door?
Can we bring the door back now?
Nope, the door's gone because the game's over.
Dang, I'm going to reinstall the door.
All right, I mean, so with the game over, we can sort of look forward to our next game, which that's going to be Saturday. So come back to wherever you watch us, either Twitch or YouTube, and expect a great, fantastic game with Ball State League of Legends. We've got our wonderful Ari portraits, and maybe you'll see more next time. So
Me to frame it. All right.
So as we sort of get into the next bits of the tournament, we'll see how things pan out. But this has been Ball State Esports, ready for 2 wins in a row.
Heck yeah, we traded pads.
So this is a GG win 2-0 for Ball State. Thank you so much for watching. Come back and watch us some other time, but see ya and have a great night.
Have a great night. Thank you for watching.